Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yanique Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Greg Logan. Greg is a global leader in brand storytelling. For over 30 years, the world's biggest brands have turned to him to create stronger messaging that connects with both the head and the heart. He's a distinguished and rare writer who has won multiple international awards across multiple mediums, including advertising at the Cannes Lions television, MIP formats in Cannes, and film, Crystal Bear Berlin Film Festival. Mr. Logan has successfully brought all these worlds together to develop unique and hugely successful storytelling formulas for brands big and small. He has written for Adobe, Capgemini, Forbes, Google, Kellogg's, Netflix, Qantas, Subaru, Sunglasses Hut, United Airlines, and Virgin. For his clients, Greg splits the year between the US, Los Angeles, Europe, Lisbon, and Australia, Sydney. So without further delay, sit back, plug your earphones in, and let's jump right into this conversation with Greg. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Yanique. Thank you for a great intro.
Awesome. Now, could you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey? I know we read your bio and that kind of gives us a little overview of who you are, but we always like to ask our guests to share in their own words how they got from where they were to where they are today.
Yeah. So all my childhood, I wanted to be a copywriter in advertising. I used to love the TV show Bewitched, where Samantha's husband was a creative in advertising. And I loved what he did. I loved his office. I loved his floppy desk. I loved how he presented the ads. And I asked my mum at 10, what does he do? And she said, he works in advertising. So I never changed. And at 19, I was working for Leo Burnett Advertising, which is one of the big global agencies. And I was in advertising. I was in Leo Burnett for 17 years and advertising for over 30 years. I started to have Groundhog Day and I wanted to do something different. And some of the awards you mentioned, I wrote a short film that won lots of awards around the world. And I thought, this is fun. So I decided to leave advertising after a long time and go into entertainment. And the path I chose was reality TV because I felt it just matched my skill set of coming up with ideas that answered a brief that could be financially successful. Mm-hmm. And I moved to LA because of it. And I did really well. I sold 12 ideas to the biggest networks and production companies in 18 months. But these ideas go off into the ether and it was driving me crazy. And I started seeing lots of experts talk about why brands need to become better storytellers. I mean, as humans, we're hardwired to love stories. It's in our DNA. And brands don't use it enough. They're far too rational and talk about themselves too much. And I noticed that everyone had really great arguments why brands should become better storytellers, but no one said how. So I thought that was going to be my job. And I put my two worlds together of brands and entertainment and basically stole the formulas movies use to hook in audiences, very successful formulas, to keep us engaged all the way through. And I translated those formulas for brands. And that's what I do now. Narrativity is my business, and I've been doing it for over 8 years. And it's amazing to say at this stage of my career, but I've just had the best 8 years of my whole career. I've created something unique that everyone loves. Everyone wants to tell a better story for their business or themselves, but they don't know how. And it's very hard. First of all, if you're not a writer, but two, you're too close to it if it's your business. My toughest client is me because I'm too close to my business. So yeah, that's what I do. And that's how I got to be here today.
Where you are. Awesome. Yeah. So brand storytelling, it's I find it to be a very popular word, especially I would
Yes.
say in the last 5 to 6
Yes.
years.
Yeah.
Everybody's now a storyteller, especially with
Yeah.
all of these various platforms that you don't even need heavy equipment like before to tell your story. You can do all of that from, the device of your mobile. If you were to identify, as a brand storytelling expert, to a novice, because we do have a lot of business owners who listen to this podcast, and customer experience is something they're trying to improve on, but they want to connect with their customers, not just to be
Mm.
salesy and, oh, this is
Mm.
what we sell or this is the service we provide. They want to connect with them on an emotional level that the client can basically see, or the prospect can see, that this product or service is adding some value to my life. What would you say, the top three things that would be critical for those companies to connect with their customers through brand storytelling?
Yeah. Um, it's a good question, and you're so right. I just see storytelling and brand storytelling all the time. And because it's what I do, I look at what they're saying and I'm like, they're not telling stories. Just because you're speaking doesn't mean it's a story. And just
Exactly.
because you're an influencer doesn't mean you're a brand storyteller. And just because you're a brand that's talking doesn't mean you're storytelling. It's kind of crazy. It's an overused buzzword that's kind of meaningless now. But that's why I looked at the world's best and the most financially successful storytellers of all time, the movies, because the
Mhm.
movies use a formula. They overlay their creativity, and the different writers create different stories and different characters in different environments and at different times of history. But they all use a formula to make sure they're engaging the audience every step of the way. It's called
Mhm.
The Hero's Journey, and it's 12 steps. And um, the hero has a quest at the start of the film that we agree with. Um, and we watch the film to the end to see that quest achieved. It's never
Yeah.
further away than 10 minutes before the end of the film, but somehow it gets resolved and we have a happy ending. And it's a
Yeah.
really successful formula. So the things that business owners and entrepreneurs should do is use a structure. So rather than everyone has a great story to tell, but the simplest structure of all time is a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that structure will keep you focused. But I call it the love story formula, because when your audience hears it, they'll fall in love with you.
Mhm.
And the reason they will is you start your story with your audience's greatest tension. As in businesses, we just start the story about us and how great we are.
Mhm.
And because we think we are the hero, our business is the hero, but we're not. Our audience has a quest themselves. They're the hero of their own lives. They have many quests every day that they want to achieve. So you've got to think of your audience as the hero, not you. And you're the wise guide that comes along a third of the way through the film to help the hero achieve their quest. And
Mhm.
if you can help your customers achieve what they want, you're invaluable to them. So that's why you need to start the story with their greatest tension. And the greatest marketing myth of all time is you can't say anything negative. But movies work because there's tension. We don't have a happy ending unless the hero has overcome obstacles and troubles and danger and killed the bad guy. And so how do you create that in business is you start with your audience's greatest tension, and they may be really busy. They might be stretched for money. They might be stretched for time. They might, um, their dog is sick, whatever it is. Start with that tension, because when you say it, your audience is going to go, oh my God, yes, that's me. That's my
Mhm.
problem. All of a sudden, they're really listening to you because you've triggered something in them. And here's the trick: when you start your story with the audience's greatest tension, don't try and force fit your product or business into it.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, I worked for a company that from New Zealand has this beautiful water. And I said, what's your audience's greatest tension? And they said, they don't have enough pure New Zealand naturally alkaline water in their lives. And it's like, they're not thinking about you. And their audience was health conscious. And so they were middle class or wealthy. And we got to, well, their greatest tension, regardless of the water, was their lives are busy and getting busier. So we started the story with, now more than ever, we crave the uncomplicated, the unadorned, and untainted. And so that audience goes, oh, yes, that's what I want. That's what I want. And then you talk about how you solve it. So we said 1907 water is nature's remedy from the modern world. Nature's remedy from the modern world. From this ancient artesian source, water naturally continually rises to the surface to rebalance and replenish our bodies from daily stresses. So then they could talk about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end with their greatest love, which was they just want a simple life because their life's busier. And we said, all we do, this constant gift from nature is bottle it. Isn't that refreshing? Now that story got this New Zealand company into Whole Foods in America, into Ralph's, Erewhon, Trader Joe's. Like they've made millions from that story. And they used to go into Whole Foods and say, we're from New Zealand and we have naturally alkaline water. We're from an ancient artesian source. Our water is beautiful, tasting, and healthy. And Whole Foods said, we've got 3 of those, 10 of those, 12 of those, and you're more expensive than all of them. Go away. So if you lead with the rational,
yes,
your audience will answer with the rational. And it won't always add up. But if you trigger their greatest tension and then talk about how you solve it and then end with their greatest love, you've got them.
You get them. You get them. So, Greg, you've worked with many different brands. If you were to pick one story, either that you've written or one that you've really loved how they told their story, what's the best brand storytelling that you've ever seen in your lifetime of doing this type of work?
Oh, wow. That's like saying, which is your favorite child?
Oh, gosh.
You know what? I'm going to tell you the one. It's certainly not the biggest. It's not the longest. It was a simple story. And this is a really valuable thing for your listeners to think about. I talked about why movies work because a hero has a quest that we agree with.
Mm-hmm.
And the movies have a very simple formula for it. What does the hero do? Who do they do it for? And what value do they add to the lives? So Star Wars, Luke, what does he do? Saving who for? The galaxy, and the value, defeating the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
In Finding Nemo, Dad was finding Nemo, and that was it. That was the value he had to the lives, and that was the name of the film.
Mm-hmm.
For a small business owner, for a small business lender, relieving business owners from the pressures they're under. It's a very simple structure that you just say, what do you do first? Who do you do it for? And the value add to their lives. And it's very powerful because people see the benefit of what you do, why you matter to them in the simplest, most conversational way. And you don't get bogged down in how you do it or why you do it. You just create a statement that the audience goes, I want to see that achieved.
Mm-hmm.
So another example of my business, what do I do? Helping businesses. The value I add to their lives is helping businesses become loved brands.
Mm.
So every business goes, I want to see that achieved. So in answer to your question, I did the love story. I'm getting all my formulas confused. The Quest formula for a palliative care organization.
Mm.
And it's not it's not insurance or dog food or whatever that I normally do. But when we did the Quest formula for what do they do, giving, who for people, and the value they add to their lives, giving people their best death possible. I teared up when we came up with it. They teared up when we came up with it because it was just such a beautiful truth of what we
Yeah.
all want, what we all want in life. And it turns something that was very difficult to talk about and how
Mm-hmm.
you sell that. And palliative care companies would probably talk about care and respect and years of experience and all of that, which
Mm-hmm.
everyone sounds the same. But if you go to a palliative care organization and they say, we're going to give you the best death possible, or we're going to give your mother the best death possible, that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So look, I've worked for huge organizations. I've made very rich companies even richer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's those moments like that with the palliative care company, and you make such a difference to them, that they're the things I enjoy the most.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Now, Greg, can you also share with us what's the one tool, website, or application that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
Oh wow. Um, Look, I'm I work in the world of brand storytelling, so there's not many uh, applications other than AI where people are using AI to um, uh, write for them. Here's something that the people who are, you get impressed because it does it so quickly and it sounds impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But what you'll see is AI is writing every business with the same voice and the same messaging and the same tone. And I now read things and I go, AI wrote that. And all of a sudden, I don't respect the organization or the person that wrote it. And
Right.
there's people I've been following for years as experts. And now I go, I know AI is writing that because I can
Wow.
hear AI. And all of a sudden, I go, why am I reading this from you? Because you're not writing it. You're not. So, where I use AI as a writer, I write it and create a unique tone of voice
Mm-hmm.
and how I write. And then I get it to edit it. And I sometimes take its advice or sometimes I don't, or we go do a
Mm-hmm.
couple of rounds. But it may sometimes you go, wow, that's just made it so much tighter, or I hadn't thought of that. And that is a really great way to use AI. But um, try and give it a distinctive tone of voice, create 3 personality traits that are unique to you. Or another little hack is think of a famous celebrity that you really like how they talk. And it may be Ryan Reynolds, or it may be Oprah, or it may be David Attenborough, and say, write this as if Ryan Reynolds said it. So put in your business. It's a really fun thing to do. If you take something you normally say for your business, put it into AI and say, write this as if it was Ryan Reynolds. And you'll go, that is so much fun. You may not want to be a fun brand, but you may go, write this from David Attenborough. And it's really quick and easy to do. And all of a sudden, it creates a unique voice for you, not just the generic AI. So you still get the
Agreed.
benefit, but just
Personalize it.
yeah. And even you can put a mix of people. You go, oh, I like that person, that person. AI will learn it, and AI knows what those people sound like. And I find that is a really great way if you're going to use AI for your writing,
Mm-hmm.
is just make it unique. And another um, website you should go to is storytellingquiz.com.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm a bit biased because I just created it, but it's very helpful because we never do a messaging health check. We never take the time to stand back and go, how is my story stacking up? And I've broken down, I spent quite a while breaking down all the fundamental pillars of strong storytelling,
Okay.
whether it's structure, clarity, tone of voice, all of these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a simple quiz where I just ask you multiple choice, or there's sliding scales, and where do you think your story sits in um, this chain? And at the end, I rate you, I rate your story, and tell you how you can do it better. And it's something, as I said, people never do, but it's free. And it's called storytellingquiz.com. So that's another website people can check it
Another
out.
tool. So we'll have the link to that website in the show notes of this episode. Can you also share with our guests, our listeners, Greg, what, like, I'm sure you've read many books, clearly, because you're a writer over the years, but if you could maybe think of maybe one or two that you've read, could be ones that you read a very long time ago or one that you've read recently, but it has had a great impact on you, either personally or professionally.
You mean business books?
They don't have to be. I mean,
Oh, good.
I've had
Yeah.
guests in the past before who shared like books that they've read that are personal that have helped them to develop on a personal level, or maybe even books that they genuinely have an interest in personally, maybe literature books or
Yeah.
books that
Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, I just wrote a book. It just was released a month ago called Creating a Blockbuster Brand. And I have to say, I'm a creative. I read lots of books and I watch lots of movies and TV shows. But business books, I was never really engaged with. But I started reading them because I was writing one, and certainly
Mhm.
one's on storytelling. And I was continually disappointed in business books. And I would get to the end and I went, you could have said that in 10 pages.
True.
Isn't that the truth about business books?
So true. You're at the
And
end and you're just like, okay,
it's like
like
you
this
could
could
have
have been
done that
so
in a
much shorter.
PowerPoint slide. um, and I think, people write them because they've become an author and they become an expert. But when I wrote my book, I was like, I want every page to be valuable. Like I just want people to run through it and go, wow, there's so much in there. And maybe there's too much stuff in there. But yeah, so I'm not going to recommend a business book. The Tower of Pooh, Winnie the Pooh. It's a
Oh my
real
goodness.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful book. Oh, you've got it.
Look.
There, oh yeah, there you've got Winnie the Pooh.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's my favorite.
yeah. Well, do you know the book The Tower of Tao, Tao? So
I have not, but I'm definitely gonna buy it now that you've recommended
so
it.
it takes like Chinese philosophy and applies it to Winnie the Pooh.
Really?
And it's the most wonderfully simple, beautiful, poignant book of life lessons.
Wow.
It's really surprising. Um, and if I think about movies, the most successful movies are ones that mix genres. So instead of just being a comedy or a romance, it's a rom com. And when you overlay different genres, you make it fresher and more unique, but also you capture more audiences.
That is
And
true.
and the Tower of Pooh does that in a way. It takes kind of philosophy, but then takes one of the most loved kind of children's character of all time and puts it together. Um, and I have a friend who every second time I see him, he goes, "You just remind me of the Tower of Pooh. Like that's your love." And maybe it's a guiding principle for me. I don't know, but yeah. So that's one for your listeners, but also obviously now Yanique, you're going to
I'm
be.
gonna buy it as soon as this interview ends. I'm going on Amazon and I'm gonna buy it. I love Winnie the Pooh. I have a Pooh here on my bed that I sleep with every night. I don't know why I'm declaring this on my podcast, but I wear Pooh pins when I go to customer service training. I have a pin for all of my shirts. When I took my daughter to Disney last year, we took pictures with Pooh and Piglet and the whole family. I
Piglet.
mean, I
Yeah.
am an avid supporter of Pooh, and I have everybody around me knows that I love Pooh. So when you said that a while ago, I was just
But you
like,
know
you
what?
are my new favorite guest.
I think you are going to start teaching people in your workshops some of the lessons.
The philosophy is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome. I'm excited to get the book. Thank you for sharing it, Greg.
of course.
All right, Greg, could you share with us what's the one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Yeah, so as I said, I've created these formulas to help brands become better storytellers. And when my clients talking to me, they often talk about how they're innovating, and they also started businesses that were innovative. And so they think they're an innovative company, but I would say, well, great, what are you innovating? They're like, we're creating an app. I'm like, well, whoopee doo, it's 2025. Like, wow.
Everybody has
Um,
one of those.
everyone has an app. And what I realized is businesses call it innovation, but they're just creating things the business needs rather than actually innovating for things that people don't have but really want.
Right.
So I thought, how can I use my storytelling formulas and techniques to so my clients could innovate and create to the story their audience wants to hear?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working with a wonderful UK AI research company called Bolt AI, and we've created a product called Foretold, where I work with my clients and their research and development teams and their product teams, and we create quests and stories for what could be, not what is now, but what could be. And then overnight, I put that into research, and the next morning we come in and we have the results of what consumers think of these ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go again and we create new ideas and new stories based on what people told us. And in just over a week, we have a pre-approved, customer ticked new product or experience or whole business that saves this company time and effort and a lot of money developing something that may or may not connect when it's launched.
Got
And
it.
now they know, they get excited and go ahead full on and develop it because they know customers are looking for it. And
Mm-hmm.
so it enables them to truly innovate in the most efficient way. So it's brand new. We did a big session with an insurance company that created a product from scratch. And
Wow.
it's so exciting and it's so different. And people who did have insurance and people who didn't have insurance at the start of this process were completely different, way apart. And by the end, both audiences said, we want this product now.
Lovely.
So that's what I'm most excited about. It's taking my brand storytelling to a different thing to create something new rather than just telling the story of something that
Mm-hmm.
exists.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much for sharing, Greg. Now, our listeners would have tapped into this episode and they're really intrigued with your brand storytelling. Um, they found your feedback that you shared with us in this interview
Yes.
fascinating and, intriguing, and they want to connect with you further. They like to reach out to you online. They like to follow you. Where's the best place that they can find you online?
So online, I I think just about every day I post advice on brand storytelling on Instagram, um, or LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, um, uh, Greg Logan, Narrativity. But Greg Logan Official is my Instagram handle, so you can check me out there. Or you can just go to my website, narrativity.com.
Okay,
You can get me in all those places.
perfect. All right, so before we wrap our episodes up, we always like to ask our guests, do you have a quote or a saying that during times of adversity or challenge, you'll tend to revert to this quote? If for any reason you get derailed or you get off track, the quote kind of helps to get you back on track. Do you have one of those?
Yeah. Suck it up.
Suck it up. Wow.
But that sounds harsh, but there is a simple truth in that, because so many people around the world and through history have had to deal with such hardships. And
Right.
and if you really, really think about the problem, and it's huge, whatever we're going through right now. And right now I'm having a huge problem and frustration with social media and all the
Mm-hmm.
things I have to do for it. And it's like, I'm poor me. But I mean, suck it up, Greg, because it's just your social media. Really? Like,
Right, right, right.
so I just think suck it up, because especially if you're an entrepreneur, this is your choice. It's up
Mm-hmm.
to you. It's up to no one else but you. So, and I think once you take that attitude, you go, you know what? This all of a sudden, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And
Yeah.
that's and related to that, I always just go to the worst case scenario and go, what does that look like? And all of a sudden, it's not as bad as you think, and then everything else is icing on the cake, and you feel a lot better. So
Amazing. Suck it
that's
up.
what I suck it up.
First, I've heard that one, but we'll definitely have it in the show notes of this episode. All right. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for taking time out of your very busy schedule and hopping on this podcast. Your nuggets of wisdom and experiences that you shared with us has really been insightful. I've gained a lot, and I'm going to buy a new book
You
after I
are.
log off this interview.
Yeah.
I know that our listeners would have gained great value from this interaction that we had, and I just want to express my deepest gratitude to you for taking time and sharing this information. I think what you're doing is awesome, and I wish you all the very best as you launch these different initiatives and continue to really stand out in the space of brand storytelling.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Yanique. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Excellent. Just want to remind our listeners that you can follow us on X at Navigating CX and feel free to join our private Facebook group, Navigating the Customer Experience Community. Until next time, I'm your host, Yanique Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.